this game, greatness is measured by the moments that defy the odds. The crack of the bat, the roar of the bleachers, and the rare perfect sequence of excellence. From the first pitch to the final out, we aren't just watching the game, we're breaking it down. From the Empty the Bench Network, it's time for you to step into the box. You are hitting for the cycle. And now, here's your hosts, Ben Kruse, David Weightman, and Ryan Toohey.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Hitting for the Cycle. I'm your host, Ben Kruse, alongside my co-host, Ryan Toohey. And we have a great show for you guys. This is episode 91 of the program. David, how are we doing today?
Doing good on a cloudy, miserable, rainy Thursday, but with 2 weeks to go until the regular season begins. You can't wait for it to start. Getting ready for that spring training thing to get over with here, so.
Yeah, we have about 2 weeks left until opening day. Very exciting stuff for you guys, and we're going to get into a lot of stuff. We're going to obviously, in this show, we're going to get into Yahoo Sports releasing their early 2026 MLB predictions. David, we're going to also get into our spring training reports. I know, obviously, the World Baseball Classic, a lot of baseball fans are tuning into that as of right now, but spring training is still going on, so we still got to talk about that. We will, of course, talk about the World Baseball Classic. There are a couple different storylines that are coming in with the World Baseball Classic, including Tarik Skubal leaving Team USA to go back to Detroit. Jesús Luzardo, of course, with your Phillies, got an extension. Mm-hmm. And then Mark DeRosa had some very interesting comments to the media a couple days ago. So obviously, before we get into all that stuff, make sure to follow us on all of our socials, right down here on the ticker bar down below at Hitting for the Cycle. Make sure to follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/ETB Network. Make sure to also follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network. And also to make sure to follow Hitting for the Cycle at HFTC ETB. Also make sure to follow me. Ryan obviously is not here, but R297, me at BKruz90. And of course, make sure to follow David at Weightman Stats. So to start off our program today, we're going to get into the article from Yahoo Sports as they released the 2026 MLB predictions. David, I don't know if I sent this to you, but did you happen to kind of take a look at that overall article by any chance?
I have not, no.
Okay, so maybe I can try to send this over to you or not. But basically, it's just a Yahoo Sports article that I just found extremely interesting that pretty much just kind of went through like just their, division winners, their championship winners, and obviously their World Series prediction because me, you, and Ryan literally just predicted what our predictions were going to be. So I kind of want to see just what the writers and some other people are kind of actually predicting on their ends. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of what they had. So for the AL wildcard, they have as the 4 seed the Baltimore Orioles taking on the 5 seed New York Yankees. So that would be, I think, I don't know who they would have as their winner for the. Okay, it looks like they have the Blue Jays as their division winner. Okay, and then they have the Mariners taking on my Red Sox. So that the Red Sox would be the 6 seed, and the Mariners would be the 3 seed. So Mariners basically, I think, would be one of the higher teams up. And then the Red Sox would be one of the last teams kind of in, which I definitely can see that for sure if they get in. And then the division series, they have the Blue Jays taking on the Mariners. So basically they would have the Mariners beating my Red Sox. And then they have the Tigers, the number 1 Tigers taking on the Yankees, which I have in my ALCS.
Right.
I have the I have the Mariners, I think. I have the Mariners taking on the Yankees, but I could also see that the Tigers taking on the Yankees also. But yeah, they have the Tigers taking on the Yankees, the division series. And then the ALCS, they have Mariners Tigers, which I think a lot of people, would not be shocked about as all. I think that would be an amazing ALCS. Of course, we saw that in the division last year already. And so, yeah, I think that's also a very intriguing thing to have. And now let's go into the National League wildcard round. So this is what they have for the National League. Number 4 seeded, they have the Braves taking on the 5 seeded Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, the Diamondbacks, I think, are a very interesting story this year. I really don't know what to make out of them. They could be very or they could be terrible. They're always just kind of a roller coaster team, I think, this year. And then they have the Cubs taking on your Phillies. They got your Phillies as a 6 seed. So kind of like the Red Sox, they have your team as a 6 seed. They have the Cubs as a 3 seed for the wild card round. So they have that. Now, obviously, another thing too to look out for the D-backs is their start, because I don't know how Corbin Carroll is going to be, and they're also going to be missing one of their guys they brought in Merrill Kelly, I think, with some time doing an injury. The NLDS, they got the 2 seed New York Mets taking on the 4 seed Atlanta Braves. That would be quite interesting. So I don't know if I can really see that, but I think that'd be very fascinating. That would be absolute cinema too. And then they had the 1 seeded Dodgers taking on your Phillies. So they had the Phillies beating the Cubs. So it is a little wacky here. I don't know. Okay. And then they have the NLCS. They got the 2 seeded Mets taking on the 1 seeded Dodgers, which I think could very likely happen. And then they have the World Series with. They don't even know the matchup. They just say Dodgers win the World Series, which does not surprise anybody. What it means. I guess they would have the Dodgers winning and playing, I guess, whoever. And that would be the first three-peat. Only the 3rd franchise, the Dodgers, would be joining the Yankees, and as well as the A's from 1972 to 74. So Ohtani would have his legacy as an all-time great, winning the World Series MVP for the first time in his career. So pretty much the writers are pretty much saying everything that we're kind of expecting.
Yeah.
Right? Is the Dodgers to come out on top. I'm a little bit different because I want to, have fun with it and try. Hopefully have something different. Ryan and I had the Mariners. But I think the presumed favorite is the Dodgers, but think quick about this really before we get into our spring training stuff.
Yeah, I was amazed that Yahoo actually thought that the Phillies would win a series in the playoffs. Like I said, it wasn't one and done, so that was surprising. I was trying to think. Well, the AL. So I guess they have the Red Sox as a wild card. Okay, they have Red Sox as a wild card. Yeah. I guess they're thinking just the Tigers and. Who won? And the Mariners, there's going to be that. That's it. There's going to be no wild card from there. So everything is straight from the East. And Tampa, I guess, is going to be they're going to be the victim this year in terms of just getting pummeled by the other 4 teams in that division.
Yeah,
so, you think about
the Red Sox. I definitely think they put out the right spot. They'll be a back end wild card team because it would have to come down to their offense. If their offense can be okay.
Right.
That'd be even fine. But we don't know, right? So that would be big. Phillies, not only did they have them winning a series, but it'd be against the Cubs, which I think would be quite interesting because the Cubs, I think, they obviously had a really tough series last year in the playoffs against the Brewers. I feel like that they want to try to get farther this year. I think it'd be a pretty good series, though. I would say.
Yeah.
So that's obviously just really quickly an early prediction report. You'll probably see a lot of these, early on. I know like the score, we'll have one. Obviously, MLB.com themselves. But I just saw this a couple days ago, and I just figured, why not? We can kind of open it up and lead off with that. That for sure. All right, let's get into our spring training report. I don't really know how much last week we really talked about our teams for that. But let's get into our spring training reports as spoken. Now, I really have not watched any spring training at all with the Red Sox recently, so I'm just kind of going based off of the scores as of late. I will say it is nice to see guys like Marcelo Meyer and Christian Campbell really kind of getting regular playing time now with guys like Jaron Duran and Cedon Rafaela and some of the regulars that was the WBC. It sounds like Cedon and Jaron Duran and Nate Eaton, who played on Great Britain, they are all going to be coming back to spring training now because their teams got eliminated. So I wouldn't be shocked if they got some opportunities to play a couple more games before opening day starts in 2 weeks. But yeah, the Red Sox, this past week, they lost the Tigers on Tuesday, 7-2. Just trying to see how the pitching has been. Sonny Gray has pitched a little bit recently. He didn't pitch too bad. He won 4 innings on Tuesday, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Not too shabby. Aroldis Chapman's been pitching decent. And then you obviously have like Monday, we play your Phillies actually. Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet pitched in that game. They didn't televise that, which I found that very, very odd. But yeah, it's you're seeing also, for the Red Sox, you're seeing some other guys, younger kids. A kid like Braden Ward. You probably never heard of this kid, but he's coming out of the 2021, came out of draft, 16th round pick from Washington. Been really opening eyes. He can run a lot. They might put him on maybe as like a bench piece. Trevor Story's been obviously playing a lot more in the lineup. Carlos Narvaez, Caleb Durbin has really played quite a bit, the newcomer as well. Alex Cora actually said that Durbin's going to be starting at third base, more likely than not to start the season, which means that they're going to probably have Meyer play second base, which I think is the right choice. You would have first base, you would have Contreras, second base, you'd have Meyer, shortstop Story, and then third base, Caleb Durbin. And then, Reyes, Mickey Romero has played a little bit in terms as a really nice prospect. And then, Crochet, okay, definitely a lot better than he had, had him before against the Yankees, which granted, take these starts with a grain of salt. It really comes down to the health of a lot of these guys than anything. But yeah, Crochet threw about 60 pitches on Monday against your Phillies. And then today, the whole weekend, the Red Sox, they were off yesterday. And then they play against the Twins today in Minnesota, at Fort Myers. And then they play the Rays tomorrow at 1 o'clock at JetBlue. And then they have the Braves at the Braves spring training site on Saturday night. And then the Twins for a matinee game on Sunday. So,
right.
We're kind of really getting into the end of things. I've really just been focusing on the World Baseball Classic, but opening days on the 26th, folks, and that is officially 2 weeks. So probably have one more week of the reports, and then it's all systems go. So, David, do you have your spring training report for us?
Well, I've been looking around a bunch of them. Like you said, there's I've been seeing a lot more of that than I had the Classic. The one that you're starting to see now is that the guys who are in the minors are now being shipped off to their camps.
Right.
Like I saw that with a couple of the Phillies guys that happened too. The one guy I've been watching, it's been 3 different things. With the Phillies, it's one thing. Like Andrew Painter's been pitching well. He's probably going to be in the rotation, barring a serious injury. He's pitched really well. With that, I said it's nice that he's got this opportunity because, like I said, it's in a way because, like I said, Nola's out, Sanchez is out. Wheeler's still recovering. Like you said, he'll be back by May or so. But he's got his control back, still throwing a really good fastball, delivering. I don't know where he's going to fit in the rotation, 4 or 5. We'll see to start. So you had that going on. In terms of the Phillies, like you said, they're playing, but it's like a lot of the guys that are in the Classic. So it's like some guys are playing well. hitting the ball, whatever else, boom, and etc. And then our one that I've been looking at too, I looked around our spring trainers. There's two that caught my eye. So if this is different teams. So if the A's, they got a top prospect by name of Leo DeVries. He's hit 4 home runs already in spring training. And you go, might make the team, might not make the team. It's a young team. But the one who's really caught my eye, and he had such a bad year last year with the Reds. And this year in spring training, Matt McLean, second baseman.
Yeah, well, he really popped. He really popped the year before, and then this past year he kind of dipped down. So
injuries and
yeah, I mean he might be reverting back to the year beforehand if he can stay healthy.
Spring training right now, he's batting .607 with 5 home runs and 12 RBIs. I think his OPS is nearly at 1.8 something.
Yeah, I'll be definitely over 1,000 if he's popping with that stats.
Yeah, he leads every team. He leads characters in every team on in spring training, whatever else. So, I mean, if there's anybody who needs a bounce back after last year, like I said, because he was just hurt and everything else, I just noticed I was like, wow, he's just absolutely killing the ball out in Arizona for the Reds. So, but I'm like, another week of this, you get to the 19th, and it's like, okay, let's just get through the rest of the spring training and start the season.
Yeah, no, Ryan, the last 2 years, around this time, I know obviously we didn't have the World Baseball Classic last year, so we were just kind of craving and talking spring training stuff. It's baseball, but it's obviously amazing to kind of have the first couple of days. It's like, well, we got baseball, even if it's fake baseball. And now we're at the point in stage where it's like, all right,
let's go. Let's get into the season
here. I want to see Garrett, throw the ball game 1 against the Reds with Hunter Green. I did not put Hunter Green stuff, but if we have time, I'll talk about Hunter Green because the Red Sox are supposed to face Hunter Green the first game against the Reds, and there might be some stuff regarding the ace Hunter Green for the Reds because of an injury that we could talk about if we have some time. But really, with one of the biggest things that's been going on in baseball, of course, is the World Baseball Classic. Now, David, I know you said you haven't been watching as much as maybe you'd like to or you have been, but
right.
I have been absolutely glued to watching WBC as of late. Definitely a lot more than I have from last week. So let's get into some of the stuff, folks, on it. I would say I would try to get maybe the bracket for you guys to kind of see it, but I can kind of do it just kind of manually via my words. So obviously, recently, of course, let me just kind of get into the records here. So the bracket as follows. So U.S. obviously went 3-1. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 3-1. I think.
The U.S.
Yeah, or 2.
Yeah. They were 2-1. They lost to Italy, of course, and then they beat Great Britain and Brazil.
No, it was 3-1 because of Brazil, Great Britain, and Mexico.
Right, Mexico.
They beat Mexico in a really good game. I guess we'll start with the U.S., of course, because that's, of course, who we support in terms of our country. So obviously the Monday game happened. Well, I guess Saturday because we really didn't get into, I guess, Great Britain 9-1. It was awesome game. Your boy Kyle Schwarber with an absolute moonshot of a grand slam. That was Schwarber in a game where the U.S. was actually down 1-0.
Yeah.
Going into the 5th inning, it's like, all right, what happened here? The bats are completely ice cold, and then we're like, okay, Clement gets on, right at third base, and then Kyle Schwarber hits the grand slam, and the floodgates open. I just basically said to my brother, I said, they just need to have a just complete knockout, and then they won't come back. They don't have the personnel whatsoever. The game Monday was awesome though against Mexico. I knew for a fact that was going to be a close game. Paulie Skeens was on the bump for U.S. Pitched really well. Really well. 4 innings. Granted, you can say, well, it's only 4 innings. That's kind of the different way a pool play happens. For 4 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks. Mexico typically is a very, very good lineup. So those stats really speak a lot. And now, the U.S. only had their 5 runs in just 1 inning. and held on until the end, which was not on my bingo card. I thought, they would have to be able to add on, but unfortunately, U.S. had chances, but they just never were able to cash in after they got the 5th run. So Aaron Judge hits a 2-run piss missile to get the U.S. up 2-0 in the 3rd. And then my boy, Roman Anthony, with a 3-run Johnson. So Kyle Schwarber from your team obviously popped out. The Red Sox for this game was nothing short of incredible because for the U.S., you had Roman Anthony, obviously the play at the plate where he got thrown out, but then he bounced back. He had a 3-run home run to get the USA up 5-0. And you're looking at yourself, we're like, well, Paul Skeens up in the bump, 5-0. It's pretty much over. Mexico, they have a shot. But then Jarren Duran had some other plans on that and make it interesting. He hit not only 1 but 2 home runs against the left-handed pitching. That's been one of Jarren Duran's really big weaknesses is power against lefties. And he hit 2 against a really good southpaw and Matt Boyd. He kind of struggled in this one. He struggled a little bit in this game. They had to go to – I'm trying to remember who they went to after Boyd. I feel like DeRosa kind of put in Boyd way too long. And they put in Griffin Jacks. That's right. They put in Griffin Jacks. Mexico did get a guy on first base with 2 outs, Alejandro Kirk with the ground ball double play. Where have I seen that before? Intense Game 7 of the World Series. And then you had Garrett Whitlock, my boy Garrett Whitlock from the Red Sox. He gave up 1 hit to Meneses, like our boy, and he struck out back-to-back guys and then got the ground ball. And U.S. holds on to go play against Italy. Now, this is where this game was extremely frustrating because, let me put on this here. I will talk about this. This kind of leads on to the Italy game. Mark DeRosa decided to say on MLB Network, in which he's been a part of for a long period of time, well, we might be resting some guys because we are pretty much already looking forward to the next round. Excuse me. If you I really don't want to go on a crazy kind of rant or something, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what is he talking about? And then you had Nolan McLean on the bump for U.S.
Oof.
And, he had a really good 1-2-3 in the first, 11 pitches, like, all right, looking good. And then Italy just completely tore it on. Three runs in the second, 2 in the fourth, 3 in the sixth. Ryan Yarbrough, I'm sorry he came in. This is kind of what happens when Tarik Skubal decides to leave. I guess, I kind of want to go from, Skubal and Skeens. And then the biggest question for U.S. was what kind of production from the pitching did you get besides that? I know, obviously, Logan Webb already pitched, so he couldn't really pitch in this one. And then the lineup. And the lineup really struggled. Bobby obviously had 2 hits. Gunnar had a homer, but they were down, David, I think it was 6-7-0 at one point.
Yeah.
They were going to get blown out. It looked like that. And then finally, U.S. decides to get going here. And Pico Armstrong from the Cubs really tried to get the U.S. for a chance to pull off an improbable comeback. He hits a 3-run homer in the 7th inning. And then the 8th inning, my boy Roman Anthony gets a single with 2 outs. Very clutch hit by Roman. So then all of a sudden, this game goes from a complete laugher to the U.S. potentially pulling this game out of the hat to go to the quarterfinals. However, Armstrong gets the homer, makes it 8-6. I think it was 1 out. And then Gunnar struck out. Wick got the hit. So was Aaron Judge, Captain America, at the plate against my guy Greg Weiser, Red Sox, for a chance to tie this game up there and strikes out. So now U.S. is in a position where they might not even make it out of the first round. Pool play. It's been completely embarrassing. They basically had to have, for the people that now have been watching, the U.S. had to have Mexico and Italy, who played yesterday.
Right.
Italy either had to win, outright, and U.S. was going to win, or Mexico had to have less than 5 runs.
Right.
And they had to win. And so the way that game played out was Italy got the 4 runs, and that was pretty much what the U.S. pretty much had to clinch, unless extras happened. Right. However, Vinny Pasquantino said, "Thank you, USA," and had 3-run absolute Johnson nukes for Team Italy, who's completely on a fun run right now.
Yeah.
And USA and Mark DeRosa should have a great class thanked over to Team Italy right now, especially after him making those comments, potentially backfiring on him, which thankfully it didn't.
Right.
Now, U.S. is going to be playing in the quarterfinals. They held on, they move on, and they're going to be playing against Canada tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on Fox. Should be a really good game. I'm expecting Logan Webb to be on the bump. And then, David, if U.S. wins, you know what that means.
USDR.
If the DR wins, which more likely than not will happen, they will be playing. Hold on, let me see who's DR is playing. They'll be playing Panama. Oh no, sorry, Korea. They'll be playing Korea.
Right.
All Skeens against DR.
Yeah.
That's complete like baseball cinema. I think I'll just be completely locked in if that's the case. That game would be on Sunday.
Right.
But yeah, I was looking at that last night. I'm like, oh, I need to see that so badly. Now looking kind of at the other part of the brackets here. So like we mentioned with DR, they're going to be playing against Korea at 6:30 on tomorrow night on FS2. And then on Saturday, there's 2 games. So Friday, there's 2 games, and Saturday, there's 2 games. And then so Saturday at 3 o'clock, you got Puerto Rico taking on the great fun story in Italy. And then you have a phenomenal matchup, Venezuela taking on Team Japan Saturday night at 9 p.m. So, yeah.
Did you see the starting matchup is for the Venezuela-Japan thing? Starting pitching? Did you see who the starting pitchers are for that game?
No, I'm expecting Yamamoto that'll be for Japan.
Yamamoto versus Ranger Suarez.
Ranger is doing pitching. Yes, so I heard about that.
That's a good matchup.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. But that's really the recap in terms of the stuff that's been going on. It's been awesome, a great fun tournament. In terms of the overall locations, I believe they're still going to be in Houston and in Miami. So I don't think that they're going to be moving anywhere, which is kind of nice.
Miami closes out all of it.
Yeah, Miami for the quarterfinal game at 6:30 with Korea, and DR, US, and Canada will be in Houston, and then Saturday, Houston for the early game of Puerto Rico and Italy, and then Venezuela, Japan for Fox on Miami. So Japan is really the only team that's going to be having to go anywhere because they're playing their games in Japan to start. So yeah, that is that, and we will be breaking down more of this stuff for next week. Hopefully, we get the chance to see USA play the DR and just have phenomenal baseball. The tournament should be over actually.
It's over Tuesday
on March 17th.
Tuesday, yep.
So we will, by the time we get back next week, we will have our World Series baseball champion. We will break down all this stuff, the semis, and for the championship. So it should be very, very exciting.
I do have a couple comments. First is DeRosa. Like it's like one of those. What are you thinking? Like I guess he just. I don't know if it was a brain fart. I don't know if it was just he just thought, oh, we're having a walk in the park. I don't know, but it. I'll tell you what. I wouldn't really want him as a manager now. All of a sudden, like in terms of like if he's having these thoughts somewhere, I think it's just something he probably just thought in his head. Like we're just going to keep steamrolling, and it didn't happen against Italy. And then the other thing I just noticed, I was looking at just real quick here, is Judge and Harper really need to start getting their hitting shoes on because Harper's batting 200 and Judge is 250. Harper's not looked good at all in this classic, at least for now. I mean, it just looks like I feel like a lot of these guys it's going through the motions. Like I mean, in terms of the U.S., like I said that like my prediction with Dominican Republic winning the whole thing, they're playing like now as a team and their offense is loaded. That's the one thing that's going to be interesting too. Huh?
I said they're as advertised.
Yes, and the one thing that's interesting is now because of now this I guess you say single elimination or quarter semis. Now the pitch count goes up to 95 pitches. It was 65 with Skeens. Now he can go 95. So that means if he's dealing, he can go 7 innings if they have to. They don't have to worry about this. But with DR, as I said, they're playing every game like it's game 7. That game last night in Venezuela, once Soto hit that bomb, those guys flew out of the dugout like they thought they were winning the world title.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. And we were joking off the air that, in Miami, of course, they have the lowly Marlins, unfortunately, and that could be definitely the loudest.
Yeah.
That place could be pretty much be going before the actual start of the regular season, which really says a lot, but it's true.
Yeah.
And I think it's an awesome place to play. Really quickly before we get into some of the other stuff around the league, I'm going to show you the before clip of the DeRosa comments and the after clip of the DeRosa comments. So make sure, folks, to watch really quickly.
This is an important game for us. Nolan McLean will start. He's on the bump, and he's good to go. He's an absolute beast, and I expect him to throw the heck out of him. It's weird. We want to win. We want to win this game, even though our tickets punched to the quarterfinals. Yeah, I misspoke. I was on hot stove with a couple buddies today and completely misread the calculations. I want to make this abundantly clear.
Yeah,
quickly.
On hot stove with a couple buddies today and completely misread the calculations. We knew that Mexico was going to play Italy and then running all the numbers with if we lost tonight with the runs allowed and runs scored and outs. So I just misspoke. Ken standing on the right.
I mean, if U.S. got bounced, David, that would have gone. I mean, you can kind of look at now as like an afterthought, even though it really hasn't been, because you'll still look at that and say, did he really say that out of his mouth? But, I mean, thankfully, it didn't backfire.
Yeah.
That would have been everywhere, People, like I was seeing on Twitter, DeRosa lives another day, because a lot of us Americans are like, we have the greatest team ever assembled now. And it's like, we need to have this one. We have to. And we were on the cusp of getting eliminated yesterday.
Yeah.
So Italy didn't pull that game out. And so thankfully they did, but it should have never came to that.
I mean, thankfully, DeRosa won't be considered for the Summer Olympics baseball job in LA in 2028. Thankfully.
Yeah.
If they do, major mistake on USA Baseball's part.
So speaking of the Summer Olympics, I know it's obviously a little bit out, but I saw that I think it was John Morosi on the broadcast last night was saying there are 6 teams that get eligible for the Summer Olympics. U.S. is obviously one of them because they're the home location. And then I think you had DR and a couple other teams. They said that Mexico might not even be in it, which would be absolutely crazy because there's a certain qualification that I think, Mexico didn't even get into the quarterfinals. So I think there's a certain type of thing for that. I'd have to take a look back, but I was just like, that was extremely interesting that I saw from that. Okay, so let's get into Tarik Skubal. Now, I think we talked about Tarik Skubal last week. Maybe we talked about Tarik a lot.
Right.
But obviously Tarik currently pitched for Team USA, and he made a comment saying that he was only going to pitch 50 innings, probably 50 innings for the regular season, but 50 pitches for Team USA.
Right.
And of course, a lot of people were saying that, there was going to be a lot of backlash for that. Why did he even come in the first place? Which I completely understand about that, to the least, because if you're going to commit and play for your country, then you have to kind of stick with it and ride with the guys. Now, Tarik's case, I get it. He's arguably the best pitcher in baseball. He obviously go back to figure out his situation, his contract situation, because he could be potentially the biggest free agent to go down this offseason if the Tigers don't decide to keep him, which is a potential option at this point in time. But he did have some comments after pitching his game against Great Britain and pretty much saying that, he'll consider it, keep his options kind of open. And then a lot of Americans are like, maybe he's kind of backtracking and second guessing. However, he did say he made a decision, I believe, before the Mexico game that he decided to not come back. And he actually did watch the Mexico game, I think, from the dugout, and then he decided to leave. So he did. I'll give him credit. He did stay for that game because I thought he was going to just leave right beforehand. But he did have some comments that, via in a quote that I'd like to kind of share really quickly. And he said, "I hate it, but I'll be the first to sign up for the 2028 Olympics and the next World Baseball Classic. I don't think I'm walking away. I guess I am, but I'll be back for the semifinals and finals to enjoy the moment with the guys.
Right.
So I think pretty much the way I kind of look at it is he wants to still be a part and around the team. However, he doesn't want to participate in actually pitching because of maybe injury risk. Maybe he kind of knows with this overall situation in this year that the Tigers pretty much are banking on him to be the guy for them to have any success. As tough as I want to see it, because Tarik Skubal, Team USA, he just brings the energy and the fire. And, they arguably have the best 1-2 punch out there, with Tarik to pitch. But he basically said, I'm only going to pitch for a certain amount of pitches, and then I might be around the team. That's kind of it.
Right.
So that's kind of the way I saw it. And now we kind of have to figure out kind of what happens here. But I do like how he kind of already said some stuff about it. He was very sincere, very honest. Even though I think a lot of people didn't necessarily agree with it, but I'd rather have him kind of say that than kind of just backpedal and just kind of move on. But yeah, 2028 Olympics. I think if he pitches, I think he's going to be pitching and participating a little bit more with that, because he doesn't probably have to worry about his certain situation with his deal and everything like that. So I think as tough as it is for Skubal, I'll defend him in this in terms of he probably doesn't want to have any type of risk moving forward on his situation. And that's really kind of how I see it. Even though I don't love it, I would love to see Tarik pitch down the tournament with Paulius Gaines. That's the way I see it with him.
Yeah, with Skubal, I know somebody said something yesterday. He was saying something yesterday. It's not fair that he's getting criticized. I'm not going to criticize him at all. There's numerous things to this. First of all, if he had a contract like multiple years still remaining, do you think he would not be pitching? He would be pitching. He's looking at this year as he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's looking at perhaps, I'm throwing out a number, guessing anywhere between $40 and $50 million a year after this year, whether he's back in Detroit or whether he's with another team. Part of me also thinks Scott Boras got in his ear, which I understand his client. Like, hey, you're risking yourself potentially. I have no issue with him what he did. And he probably told his teammates at the beginning, like, look, this is what's going on, and they understand it's business. I mean, that's what baseball is. It's a business. So I have no problem with everything that he's done. He's going into a year, like you said, with the Tigers, where they have a chance to potentially not only make the playoffs, but go to the World Series and win it with that team, especially that starting pitching staff. Yeah, I have no problem with anything what he did. None. And he'll come back and everything will be fine. And as I said, by the time he gets to 2028, that's a whole other thing in general, because by then he'll probably get a 5-year deal, after this year. So he'll multiple years, he'll pitch there. And if they allow Major League Baseball players to do the Olympics in the US, he's definitely going to be on the team. He could be your 1 or your 2 with him and Skeens. I mean, that's a nice 1-2 combo right there. So yeah, but in terms of Skubal, I'm glad for him. Like in terms of focus on Major League Baseball, and because if you, like you said, if you get hurt in any of these other games, you lose out on $30 million this year. That's why some of those guys from Venezuela didn't do it, because of the insurance issue. So,
now this is one thing I don't really get with him, and it's just saying on the criticism. He said it's just not fair, but that's part of the business. It's just part of the game. If you know me, though, and they know me on a personal level, and they know what my peers think of me, I don't think it's fair to say those things. What I'm going to say is with this is, if you don't think it's fair, you know for a fact that you either have to be in or out on this,
right?
And I think him trying to kind of be saying, well, he's just like, I actually tried to be in this, and then I it's not fair that I'm getting all this. Dude, you knew for a fact you kind of had something kind of come to you. You kind of had that of, you're either in or out. That's really kind of it. When it comes to participating in something, especially participating for your country, and you're one of the best pitchers out there to pitch, go and you got to do it. You can't be, hiding behind, especially for a guy like him and his passion. So, and then to say it's not there, he could have just said, well, listen, I understand this decision and what the fans might be thinking, and I want to do the best I can to pitch for my country and down the road, but I have something that's very important to me also that I don't want to affect. Like, that's maybe kind of something, but instead he's like, well, it's not fair, and, people don't really understand what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know exactly if that's kind of the way to perceive it or portray it per se, but I understand what he's trying to do. So I could definitely get that.
Yeah, my thing too is with this whole thing, and him and USA Baseball, when they had the conversation about him joining the team, that should have came up in the beginning, or maybe do it for future things where it's like, look, if you join, you're all in, but if you can't because of whatever we understand, then we're not going to add you. And I think if they had to redo it, this whole thing, I don't think he's on the team. I think he's just like, look, I got this going on. I love to join, but I got a contract situation and this thing and this thing and this thing. Now get back to me in 2028 if you do the Olympics in Major League Baseball. But yeah, if they had to do it over again, I think he wouldn't have joined. I really don't.
There's other options out there that could have been pitching.
Right.
You can look at it. Guy like Brian Wu, I think would have been an amazing guy to have for the boys. I would have sent Zack Wheeler if he was healthy, but he's not healthy right now. But I feel like Zack Wheeler would have been open to potentially doing it. So, like, you had options.
You could have Blake Snell, the Dodgers.
Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet. That would have been completely like, all right, no offense to Tarik Skubal, but if you had Garrett Crochet, I think you're still looking pretty good, for the team. But Garrett pretty much did kind of what I wish Tarik did. Garrett pretty much just said, I'd rather focus on my own team right now. That's kind of it, which is okay. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But that was obviously a big story, of course, outside of the Mark DeRosa comments for Team USA. So there's been a little bit of drama, I guess, out kind of off the field a little bit. Not really, but just kind of some stuff to monitor. But something that we don't have to monitor because the Phillies got this done was your boy, Jesús Luzardo.
Right.
Agreed to a $135 million extension with the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, David, I really will kind of have you kind of take the floor on this because obviously, one, you're a Phillies fan. How do you feel about this deal as a whole? And in terms of the rotation, there's obviously probably some prospects, pitching-wise for the Phillies down the road that maybe could be slotting in. And I think Luzardo was a very good pitcher. I really obviously liked him from afar. I know that the Red Sox had maybe some interest from time to time, not really, but time to time kind of just looking at the market for him. But, the Phillies, I think right now you have him, you have Zack Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez. Like, the pitching for the Phillies is not going to be an issue down the road. And I think Luzardo is just another arm that you could have that would be very, very solid. I think 5 years is a pretty good in terms of that. And then 5 years AAV would be what?
27.
27. Thank you. Yeah. So 27, less than 30 mil a year. I think that's a pretty fair offer for a very solid pitcher, that you guys will be having. So that's really kind of what I have, but I'll really have you kind of take the floor on this.
Happy that he signed here. He said he liked it here. He likes it here a lot, which is good. I think I look at the deal is really good in terms of the market value for him. For these, they're not paying him crazy $40-50 million for a 27-year-old. In terms of the future, I mean, he fits in now. When everybody's healthy, he fits in right now. I'd say potentially a 3 behind Wheeler and Sanchez. And then once Wheeler's contract's up and he retires, you move everybody up and you look at their future with probably Sanchez a 1, Luzardo a 2, Painter will, if he pitches well, will be a 3. I mean, he's 20, 21 years old. Nola, I mean, they'll still have him around because of that 7-year deal he's got, but he's 4. So their starting rotation in the future looks really good in terms of promising. We'll see how it all pans out. I mean, they all could, have a slump, whatever it is, a year or so. But overall, I love the deal. And plus, the other thing which helps out too is Taiwan Walker's $18 million comes off the books at the end of the year. So that probably also sped up this reason why they also got him. So his money comes off. Castellanos' money comes off at the end of the year. So, but I'm glad that they locked him up. Milton still wants to win, which is nice to have an owner who's got that desire to win. So I'm happy with the deal. Happy for him. We'll see how this pans out in the long run for him and the team.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it's a pretty solid offer that he got. And if he likes to stay there, by all means, I think that's a really good thing to have on both parties. Makes it easy for him. And yeah, that's really kind of it for the Phillies. So we do have about 10 minutes left on the program. So I guess we'll go into final thoughts, and I guess we can kind of just go through some stuff around the league. I'll say, I guess, with 2 weeks left, the Red Sox kind of who they are looking at in terms of for the season. So at least to start, they, like I mentioned, they have the Reds coming up. That's right. Hunter Green.
Hunter Green. Oh.
So Hunter Green, as of course I mentioned here, Hunter Green's obviously one of the best pitchers in baseball. And to be fair, David, he could have been another option for Team USA as well.
Exactly.
He has just that overpowering type of fastball. So right now, it looks like, he is going to be missing
4 months.
Yeah, 3 to 4 months. Hunter Green will be having. So he's going to be missing the home opener against my Red Sox, which kind of sucks. And obviously, you want to kind of face the best of the best. But, unfortunately, with pitchers, you just never know. So this is from March 10th, this article from ESPN, so only 2 days ago. And he's going to be having arthroscopic procedure Wednesday to remove bone chips and loose bodies from his right elbow, and is not expected to pitch until July. Green at 26 left the Red Spring training facility on Arizona on Wednesday due to elbow stiffness, and then he returned to Cincy and underwent imaging in addition to consulting specialists, including Dr. Neil L. Astracte. Terry Francona said that they will miss him. There is no getting around that. I don't see anyone looking like they're feeling sorry for themselves. That's just kind of the way it goes for pitchers. And then the president of the Reds also said, Nick Krall, said that the Reds hope that Green will be ready to pitch the majors in 14 to 16 weeks. He said it's very good news compared to what it could have been. They said, and this is kind of the overall, sometimes the managers, David, has kind of said that at the trade deadline, when a guy gets hurt and they come back, it's kind of like their trade deadline acquisition piece. Not too shocking when the Reds are one of the lower small market type of teams saying this. They're saying that he will be like a trade deadline acquisition piece, which granted, I think for the Reds, he's really kind of one of their biggest guys that they excite them. So I'm not surprised that they say that. It's kind of more of maybe like a cop for a bigger market. But for a guy like him, I think no matter where he is, I think that is a big acquisition to have because he is just that great. One thing about Green, David, I don't know if you knew about, but his 99.5 average four-seam fastball velocity led the major leagues among those throwing at least 1,250 pitches and 296 pitches of 100 miles per hour or higher. That was a second in the major leagues behind Mason Miller at 422. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to suck. He went 7-4 last year with a 2.76 ERA. He was a little bit limited too in terms of career low 19 starts, but so who are the Reds going to go to for opening day? That'll be left-hander South Park, Andrew Abbott.
Yes.
So, and he's a good pitcher as well too. This is the kind of guy that kind of gets a little bit off the rails, off the radar as well, I guess you want to say. But yeah, I really just wanted to have this really kind of, I guess my final thought is that the Red Sox unfortunately won't be facing Green. The Reds also have Chase Burns, for a second year.
Yes.
And he could be the next Hunter Green, possibly. He's kind of like a baby version of him. Now, obviously, that's kind of working some stuff, but you can kind of see the arsenal overpowering fastball. Trying to work on some of the off speed. The Red Sox really hit him well in the first inning last year. Just teeing off, I think, kind of really hunting, and that's kind of really something as like rookies that, you might be having all the great stuff in the world in terms of fastball, but these are major league guys now. They'll be kind of sitting on some of these high fastballs, if they want to, and so they really have to kind of get the secondary pitches to go to be able to get that fastball still on a great plane and how kind of everything else kind of overlooking it.
Mm-hmm.
David. Now,
of
our program, what are your final thoughts?
Well, it deals with, I was going to bring up the Hunter Green thing. So here's how I see it with the Reds. They still have, when they had him, they had a great rotation. Him, Andrew Abbott, what we mentioned before, Brady Singer, Chase Burns, Nick Lodolo. They got another guy by the name of what's his name, Rhett Lauder. So you have these guys, and there's 5. I think with the Reds, their main thing, if I were to say that their goal should be, is just to kind of be in that area. I don't know if they're going to win the division against the Cubs or, but like in terms of like a playoff thing, stay in where you're hanging in there, or if you're even leading the wild card or in the wild card hunt, or whatever you want to call it, until Green gets back. You do that. And with that offense, they got those young guys too. Well, not young guys, but De La Cruz's and Sal Stewart's, and among all of them. If you can do that when you get him back, I mean, that second half of the season for Cincinnati could be very, very good for them. I mean, but it also doesn't surprise me with Hunter Green, just because since they drafted him and throughout his whole career, or even he always has thrown hard. I mean, you throw 100 miles an hour, whether it's Garrett Cole, like you said, all the guys we mentioned, like Hunter Green, etc. You're going to blow your arm out. You're going to blow your elbow out.
The fact that he was second behind Mason Miller when it came to 99.5 plus velo, like you would be more surprised that it hasn't happened more than it has. And that's also something too. Pitchers trying to overthrow themselves in spring training. Yes, it's obviously great maybe for some guys that are trying to make an impression, but not necessarily throwing that hard means you're not necessarily a good pitcher.
Right.
You obviously have that ability to have that, but your body, you have to be able to kind of sustain that, with that arm. So
I look at it this way. Even like Skeens has been known to throw 100, 101. Sooner or later, your arm does go. Who's that guy? The Angels closer, Ben Joyce. He was throwing 104, 105. Mason Miller.
And for him, it's tough because not only he throws hard, but he has a really weird arm slide with it as well, which you would think it's like he either has that ability to do that, or it's like he's just playing with so much fire. Because I'm like, dude, like, that's why, like, in terms of like they show you, and I hate to like have the reference Little League phase, but like there's a lot of like kids remember playing Little League where they don't want you to throw a curveball or an off-speed pitch because they don't want to have your arm kind of be blown out with you try to throw fastballs and it's just like in the pros, major leagues where they probably want to throw a bit harder because they know what type of hitting the offense is going to have. So you think you have to throw harder. That's not necessarily the case. It's more about can you locate, can you execute? Yeah, I mean, it might be a little bit tougher because you might have to kind of rely on the execution or else you're going to get absolutely clobbered. But there is a recipe for it. I mean, look at a guy like CeCe Sabathia. This is kind of the prototypical pitcher that I've always looked at, where a guy threw about 93, 94 miles an hour-ish at best, which is pretty good still. And then he kind of turned from that for most of his career to at the end of his career, he went to about 89, 90, which I still think is okay. But he was able to really kind of paint the corners left and right. Something I think that Ranger Suarez, might be doing with the Red Sox is he doesn't obviously overthrow, but if you have a really good defense as well behind you, David, it makes it so much easier as well too. If you have a really good secondary, it makes the job easier for the front, easier to kind of go and attack the offensive line. It's the same thing when it comes to pitching. When it comes to if you can locate your number one, everything else can kind of play from there. So I agree with you. Yeah, it's just hopefully he gets okay. Never obviously want to see any type of injuries, but when it comes to pitchers that throw that hard, that's obviously a risk that can happen. So unfortunately, not that risk right now. Like I said, hopefully he gets okay and ready. And so hopefully Hunter Green, it's okay. But that'll do it, folks, for episode 91 of Heading for the Cycle. Like we mentioned, no Ryan this week. So David, we do appreciate you coming on. I know you're obviously one of our other co-hosts for every single week. So obviously we'll see you, of course, next week. But at least for my other guy for this week, we appreciate you have us. And appreciate everybody that watched and joined. Make sure, of course, you follow us on all of our socials. As usual, we're doing really, really well as a recent with that. But until next time, folks, thank you guys for watching another episode of Hitting for the Cycle, episode 91. And we will see you guys next week.